Here inside Kenan Stadium, I'm inside Carolina's Ross Martin, joined by Adam Smith of Inside Carolina. We just wrapped up a good 2 hour or so press conference session with Mack Brown, Phil Longo, and Gene Chizik. Adam, obviously the defense took a big step, holding Virginia Tech to 10 points and 99 rushing yards. Your major takeaway of Gene Chizik's session with the media and what Mack Brown had to say?
That's right. We're here Mondays with Mack. And, Gene did not come in and gloat, although he could have, the difference between last Monday and this Monday. I mean, could it be any different in terms of the mood, the attitude, how everybody's feeling? I think Mack said something like winning changes everything and losing absolutely stinks. But this is something I think for the UNC defense to savor a little bit. You don't want to kick your heels up and relax, but they're coming off a second half shutout against the Hokies. That hadn't been done in a while around here. They only, as you mentioned, gave up the 99 rushing yards. I believe in the second half, Carolina only allowed 92 total yards during the second half, and that's the way you win football games. But Gene always comes in calm, and he never seems like he gets too high or too low. He was the same.
I think he realized Virginia Tech wasn't that good on offense, but it's a momentum builder. It's a confidence builder. They took what they had in practice and executed it in for 4 quarters. It was a complete game. It was a major takeaway there. Yeah. All right, and Phil Longo, I think the run game is worth discussing. Struggled at times against Virginia Tech. It's been good. It's been bad this season. First down, second down, Mack Brown, Phil Longo want more from the run game. And we also need to discuss the paring down of the running backs in that room.
Well, as Mack said today, Drake saves us was one of his quotes on some of those third and longs that we get in. If you take, Drake Maye ran for 73 yards Saturday.
Take that out.
If you take that out, there wasn't that much in the running game. I believe Caleb Hood ran for 37 yards on 8 carries, and Marion Hampton was 32 yards on 7 carries, something thereabouts. I think they combined for like 69 yards, somewhere in that range on 15 carries. So it wasn't an extreme amount of production, and that's something that we've been hearing. It's a recurring theme that UNC would like to be more productive on first downs with the running. They would like to have less 1 yard gain, 1 yard loss stuff. And Mack even said that's kind of the only area we need to fix. I'm not sure about the way he phrased that, but he said offensively that's where they're focused on improving.
Is Caleb Hood UNC starting running back?
He was Saturday against Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yeah, it's interesting. They used him early and often. They went to Marion Hampton on the goal line. He converted a 4th and 1, but also got tackled for a loss, I believe, at one point. And then we only really saw DJ Jones a couple times, mostly on third down when he came through on pass protection. And Mack Brown, Phil Longo both spent a good amount of time talking about how good DJ Jones was as a blitz picker, pass protection guy.
Unsung hero, I think, in that area. Yeah. That the first scoring drive for Carolina against Virginia Tech, they used Hood, they used Hampton, and DJ Jones all on that series. George Pettaway came in. I'm not sure if he played in the first half, but he had 2 carries in the game. He played some, I guess, in mop-up garbage time. Yeah, so. There's those 4 guys are still in the mix there. You ask a good question. Is Caleb Hood the starting running back? He started both halves Saturday against Virginia Tech.
It seems like you're going to go with those 3, DJ Jones as a third down back, and then maybe have a couple special plays for Pettaway. That's what Phil Longo said. I think it's also important of how good Drake Maye's become in another spectacular performance. It wasn't talked about too much, but your thoughts on what he is right now, 5 games in with, I think, 22 total touchdowns, which is the most by any Carolina player in program history.
Yeah, it's those 22 total touchdowns, 19 passing, 3 rushing, are the most by any UNC player across any 5-game stretch in school history. And as Mack said today, we've been playing a long time. It seems like there's so much to discuss with Drake. Obviously, there's the issue of him continuing to go air Drake and taking off near the goal line to try to get in and score. But my gosh, he threw for 363. You wrote about it Saturday night. He threw for 363 and 3 touchdowns. He ran for 73 and 2 more scores, 5 total touchdowns. While we are filming this, he'll probably be ACC Player of the Week at quarterback, I'm sure.
And then converting with his feet, flinging the ball to Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs, Antoine Green coming back added to his pass catchers. I mean, Green's getting a lot of touches, so is Downs. Downs had 8 catches. I think the tight ends are worth talking about. I mean, Copenhaver, Kamari Morales for the first touchdown, Bryson Nesbitt across the middle for a touchdown in the second half. I mean, tight ends have been a huge weapon for UNC, and Longo is using them and using them well.
And what is your thought on Drake taking off and going Air Drake? I mean, what would you tell him, Ross, to keep him from doing that? Would you have any advice for him on that?
So the only thing that Phil Longo said, the only time he should be diving or jumping for a touchdown is when it's for a game-winning score in a huge game, such as an ACC championship or national championship. It's the only time you should do it. Not even to win a game against, a lesser team. So that was funny. And Drake Maye, or Phil Longo also called Drake Maye's parents to talk about. They're trying all angles to try to get Drake Maye to stop leaping in the air. He got hit, got the wind knocked out of him. It's just not getting through. And
he tried to go over 2 guys.
Yeah, and that's the competitiveness, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Mac said. Mac said you just see his competitiveness coming out. And Mac is going to go there with it. He grew up in a household full of 4 boys. That's what you knew that was coming from Mac. So like that was a question we asked today was, is there any way to change the message to Drake? Because they've been trying to tell him to protect his body. They've been trying to tell him to step out of bounds, but you see, he keeps trying to go up top.
We saw the season flash before us when he was laying down there gasping for air.
He really was.
With the ESPN camera right on him.
ACC Network.
Yeah, ACC Network right on him, gasping for air. Like, dude, what's going on?
He's holding his, he's holding his chest like that.
A scary moment there in Keene Stadium. And finally, I think you dodged my tight end question. We'll talk about depth here. You're seeing a little bit more depth. They have it at wide receiver. They have it on at running back. You saw a little bit more defensive players getting a chance, which is good to get that experience for some young players. In a game when they're blowing out a team like Virginia Tech 41-10, it is an opportunity to get younger players some more time.
Yeah, and I would never dodge your tight end question. I love the tight ends. I wrote all about them after the Georgia State game. I thought it was an interesting note that Mac. Mac will heap the praise on you when things are going well. And he talked about John Lilly, the assistant coach, the tight ends coach for UNC, and he talked about sort of the NFL aspect that he has brought back to the staff. And he even compared Lilly to Robert Gillespie, the former running backs coach here, who was balancing the playing time for Michael Carter and Javonte Williams there for a couple of years. And I thought that was an interesting thing because to go back to the tight ends, I mean, Bryson Nesbitt had a huge game against Virginia Tech. Kamari Morales always is involved. Seems like he's always catching a touchdown pass. And John Copenhaver is just ready to break off a big catch and run at any point. I mean, he gets loose. He's going, he's banging into people and going crazy.
It's not just, 7, 8, 10-yard catches. I mean, they catch 25, 30-yard passes that can change the game.
I think we'd have to go back and look at it, but I know they all had at least 20, 25-yard games Saturday. You're exactly right. They're not turning around, catching the ball, and falling down like some big stiff.
Yeah. And Bryce, as I said in the Calling the Shots podcast this morning, I mean, they're big targets. And you see Bryson Nesbitt across the middle, 6'6".
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, going against, a 5'11" nickelback or a 6'2" slow linebacker, it's a huge difference. UNC got a lot of players in on defense. That was great against the ACC team to be able to kind of empty your bench was huge. Moving to ACC play now, Mac Brown mentioned the importance of the 4 games and allowing players still to redshirt was big too. Anything else you want to touch on here, Adam?
Well, I mean, they're going down to Miami this week. I know we're a couple days, 5 days away from that, something
South
like
Beach.
that.
Adam Ross on South Beach with Jim Hawkins.
I mean, am I allowed to comment on that? I don't know if I was going to comment on the food or the you've been tracking the weather down there, haven't you?
Yeah, we're ready. Comments on Miami.
Miami didn't play last week. They're coming off a loss to Middle Tennessee. Mac tried to spin it that UNC will be catching Miami like they caught Notre Dame. Notre Dame was coming off the game against Cal where they had to rally, and it was kind of an underwhelming performance. So Mac had the talking point ready for that. I don't know. The Hurricanes benched Tyler Van Dyke, their quarterback.
It was probably a big look in the mirror. 2 weeks for Miami coming off 2 straight losses to A&M and Middle Tennessee State. So it should be interesting. Here on Monday inside Keene Stadium. For Inside Carolina, I'm Ross Martin, joined by Adam Smith.